Yep, good evening, everyone. We've got Harold's empty seat recording the session, and here we are.
Good evening, everyone.
Hey, Nigel.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Who, me?
Yeah, the sound wasn't working just a second ago.
All right.
And Nigel sometimes is very hard to hear. Maybe sometimes he's just a little bit far from the speaker.
Hello.
That's better. Yeah, it's only a small distance with you, Nigel, between hearing you very clearly and not at all.
That's right. He's got his space headset on now, so he's in space. All you need is a SpaceX helmet to complete that picture, and then you can.
So where's Harold tonight?
Harold's on family shuffling this evening, and he's going to join us in a bit. But so we're starting with that. One of my lights isn't working, so I'm a funny color. Hang on, I'm just going to go and change it.
So Rob, is that better? Now I'm using this microphone.
Much better.
Much better. Much better.
Yeah.
It is much better.
When I saw you in the seat there, I was just worried that Harold had dropped the charger off the back of the X on the way home or something.
No, it made it back, and in fact, he's scheming to drive it to Ravensthorpe this weekend, which will be a bit of an undertaking, given that last time when he drove to Lake Grace without a charger on the back, he got there with about 3% spare.
Into Lake Grace, yeah, you'd have to top up somewhere.
He will, so I'm imagining he'll probably stop at Williams and do a bit of a slurp there on the way, or Cogen up, and do it that way.
So what is the story about Ravensthorpe?
So one of our potential, I don't know if sponsor is the right word, but kind of greasers of the wheels in terms of getting the AEVA Ravensthorpe charger in place is Galaxy, who are a minerals company who also sponsored some of the early REV chargers. When they're having an open day down there this weekend. So Harold's going to take the DC charger down there and sort of roadshow it a bit with some of the people from Galaxy to see if he can get them to put their hand in their pocket, which would be nice.
Fantastic.
So from the AEVA meeting last night, we're still quietly hoping, I think, that we might get a third one, but that will require, I suspect, a little tiny bit more investment from some of us that haven't put our hands in our pockets yet, including me. But we have had a bit more, and so yeah, it's looking good. But I guess since we're at kickoff time, as good a topic as any is I guess feedback from those of us that were at Coolin. From my perspective, it's really interesting. That was one of the first drives in owning my car for 3.5 years that I've done for a while, where you basically just drive off into the wilderness knowing you'll arrive there with pretty much not a lot left, hoping that you'll be able to charge to drive back again. Because those of you that know me know I'm a bit more of a control freak than that, and I tend to stress about that kind of thing. It was very liberating.
Yeah, no, it was good fun. I really enjoyed it. I tend to stress about things. I'm telling Brian he's got to go slower and turn off the air conditioner. And
yeah, she did stress about things getting into Lake Grace. So
we got down to 6%. I thought that was quite low.
Had heaps.
So what was your guys' road trip? Do you want to tell us about your whole road trip?
Yeah, we left reasonably early on Wednesday. We stopped in at Williams, and Jean will say we didn't stop in long enough.
I know, I had a plan and he just ignored me.
I wanted to hit the road, so I don't know why. We dropped a fair bit, sort of heading between Williams and Lake Grace, so that's why we just ended up a bit tight. I was doing 110 until we started looking a bit scary, and then I dropped it down to 100, and then 90, and then 80.
Yep.
But no, we still
And
had
the air conditioner went off.
Yeah, and the air conditioner off. But yeah, getting into Lake Grace, all excited for our first big charge, and we had someone else parked up there using the charger.
How dare
So
he?
that was a guy named Andrew with a Model 3, and he was coming back from Esperance with his 2 kids. So they had a full car, and he was right at the bottom. So he was dead keen to charge right to the top. So yeah, we just chatted with him for about an hour, I think, while he filled up, and then we did our bit. But we're only going through to Ravensthorpe.
Sounds like you found it.
We'd hooked in there. And
Yeah, so you found the video and the mute button. Now there'll be another one. The only
Wait a
other
minute.
one you need.
someone talking.
Oh,
over
sorry.
around there. And we, yeah, so we stayed the night at Ravensthorpe, filled up there with the destination charger. So very friendly caravan park.
Yep.
And then we had 2 nights in Esperance at the Comfort Inn, and they've got the destination charger there. So that
Yes,
was
yep.
all very easy. And then back to Coolin to catch up with the crowd.
And we had, yeah, my nephew wanted us to chase down where the shark attack occurred because he's a cameraman at Wynn or something.
Win
isn't he?
Bunbury. So he
So-
wanted a bit of vision if we could. So we
Well, I
reluctant.
wasn't very keen, you know, I felt like a ghoul. But anyway, when we got there, we couldn't get on the beach anyway. I was quite relieved about that.
So we just took a bit of vision of the road closed sign and the guy blocking entrance. So anyway, that was that part of it. But yeah, no, just a really good trip. And then we were due to go away this weekend to Bridgetown with our caravan. And we enjoyed it so much in the Tesla that we're going to leave the van behind and go with the Tesla with a tent.
Yeah,
I don't know where it is.
So we've taken a leaf out of Rob Dean's book. He goes everywhere with what's the thing you put in the back? The swag.
Mm.
Yeah, so we've got a similar sort of tent arrangement. So we're going to do that this weekend with the dog.
Excellent. So how long was your road trip in
Well, it's
Cape?
only the 4 nights. So Ravensthorpe, 2 nights in Esperance, and then 1 in Coolin on the way back.
but
But
it,
a
But
few
yeah,
more-
Coolin's such a nice place. We
yeah,
wouldn't have even known if we hadn't gone there with you guys. It was good.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was a tiny bit of an arbitrary choice when we were kicking around places to go. We had been thinking on previous years it would be good to try and do a road trip to the Coolin races, but of course because this year is this year, it wasn't on. It would ordinarily be around October sometime. And then when it wasn't on, we thought, well, look, we might as well go anyway. As a shire, they've been pretty good. They've obviously put the chargers in and they've done those things. So
Yeah.
we figured road tripping a bunch of us down there would be good. And it was also a good experiment in doing a bit of a trip that we could do as an out and back.
Yep. Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
all
we enjoyed it. And nice meeting a few of the faces we've seen on here. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed.
Hmm.
Indeed. And obviously having the DC charger along for the ride made it very easy.
Absolutely.
well, we made full use of it, didn't
We
we?
did,
Got to 100%.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we'd done various bits of planning as to how we would make that charging happen, and that was why we originally tried to set a bit of an upper limit so that
coming
we,
out of the monitor.
so we could get that sorted. But having the DC charger there actually meant we probably could have easily had many more people. So we've already started
I'll just sit here.
theming where to next.
And if I get shitty, I'll just go. Okay.
Are you able to
Yeah,
mute? Bill,
Ken,
while you-
just interrupt you there. I think Bill doesn't realise he's online.
Yeah, I know. It's the first Zoom conference I've ever had, and I'm struggling technically.
You're coming
That's
through clear.
If you can hear
Bill.
me, I can
Yeah.
hardly hear you, and I've been on the phone to my son trying to help me with my Zoom.
So
Bill, you might just need to mute your microphone. So you might see a microphone symbol on your screen somewhere. If you just press that, then if you talk to your son, then the rest of us won't. There you go. You got it. Done.
that's it.
Well done.
Well done. And Ashley was going to be there on the weekend, but you couldn't because you were
Yes,
at a hospital.
unfortunately, yes. Coming up, we have another big major operation coming up, so it's going to
Okay.
be out of action for the next couple of weeks at least. So keep my fingers crossed. So how did the guys? How many cars went into Cullen, Ken?
We had eight cars in the end, so 4 3s, 3 S's, and 1 X.
Oh, lovely.
Which was good. Obviously, we could have had more, but as it turns out, and Rob can probably, and those of you that camped can speak more about it. We expected the caravan park to be empty, but it didn't turn out that way, did it?
No, they had a very busy weekend because COVID has kept people inside the state. Everyone wants to travel.
Yes, they do, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah,
So it was
yeah, I
amazing.
was-
No, it was just that they heard that the Teslas were coming into town, Rob.
That's what it was.
The word got out.
But no, it was amazing. I was expecting the town to be empty apart from us, particularly once we discovered that most of the town was going out of town to do their own little celebration. But actually, it was quite good. And Robin, our resident tour guide, was fantastic. That was one of my highlights.
She was.
Yeah, she was. It was great. I enjoyed that hike. The walk we did up the big rock, looking at all the plants.
It was good.
What did you
Nice to
guys-
have a clamber.
So what did you guys do there on the following day?
Well, I had to skedaddle back for a family thing, but Rob, you guys went for Wickepin. Did you do Albert Facey and that sort of thing?
Yeah, the first stop was, as you can see behind in the photo, we stopped at an old abandoned hostel. Got a photo there. It's a bit of a shame because the brickwork is in fantastic condition, but it's probably going to need $250,000 to fix all the timber work up. Then we went through to Wickepin, which is a nice little stop for a half an hour. We got to Williams and it was jammed.
Was it?
There was nowhere to park a car. Peter and myself parked around the corner
Gosh.
in the bush basically. So believe it or not, the only parking bay empty was the car charging bay. And because I said, oh, that was really nice of people, but I looked on PlugShare and Tesla had only left there a couple of minutes before us got there, so they freed it up. But I think superchargers at Williams is going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
Did you get any further intelligence about the supercharger install?
No, actually, when I was there on Saturday morning, Ryan came out and he actually said to me, "Oh, we'll get the supercharger." He's so excited.
It's going to be great because obviously having a supercharger in Eton is fantastic, but that Albany Highway corridor is desperately needs a bit more greasing of the wheels to make that an easier run, and that'll just be fantastic.
It will.
And one of the real highlights of the weekend was the cafe in Boddington. Peter, can you remind me what that was called?
The Black Sheep.
The Black Sheep.
Oh, yes. We know the one.
Very, very nice food. Very nice cafe. And it's a 50-meter walk from a couple of three-phase car chargers. So well worth going to Boddington for a day trip. Anyone who's looking for something to do.
I'm looking it up now.
Yeah.
The Black Sheep in Boddington.
Yeah.
If anyone's interested, we went there with the caravan a couple of years ago in the middle of winter, and the caravan park is pretty much nestled right on top of the river there.
It's
And
really
we got
nice.
some fantastic photos because every morning we'd wake up to a really thick fog that had settled on top of the river. And just got some fantastic photos. It was worthwhile getting up early, even in the cold, just to see the fog. And then on the other side of the bridge with those dead trees in the river.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got some
No,
fantastic.
we've done the same. We've got a caravan group, and we've been up there a few times by ourselves as well. And same story. You know, we take the kayaks up, so you can actually kayak up the river amongst the dead trees. The Black Sheep, they took a photo when we were there for their Facebook page with our cat, because we take the cat with us. So they talk about being dog friendly, but they've got the picture of the cat now, so they're cat friendly too.
And sheep friendly.
Yeah, but no, really, really nice town to go for a visit, and we didn't know they had the destination charges there, so we might do that. But it's just hard to do it with a cat and a dog in the Tesla.
They're actually they're three-phase plugs, not destination charges.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, we make sure we got our adapter. Yeah.
Take your adapter with you. It was interesting because just before we were about to leave, Harold switched off the DC charger, and it tripped off the RCD at the charger there. So I rang the Shire Monday morning and just got him to reset it.
Okay. Uh-huh.
So where were those three?
Rob, did you find out how big the breaker is there?
No, because the works manager wasn't in. He had an RDO, but the young girl at the desk said, "I'll just go and walk over and reset it."
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, it's just a shame that we had no access to it, you know, obviously over the weekend to be able to flick it ourselves.
So Bill,
Rob,
Bill, I was going to ask Bill, are you what sort of car have you got? Unmute yourself.
you have to press that microphone icon again, Bill. Try again. No, you've still got the, you're still muted, Bill, so you have to press that microphone icon.
Or press and hold the space bar.
That's correct.
Press, hold,
There
space
you go, got
bar.
it.
Now you
Got
can
it.
talk.
I did it before.
Now we can hear you.
So can you hear me now?
Yep, all good.
Yes.
Okay, well, it's technology. It's not one of my friends. I've got a Model 3 standard range. So I've had it since January. So I've done a few day trips outside Perth and an overnight trip to Cervantes, but basically I've driven around Perth. Yeah.
Have you found the Model 3?
I think it's fantastic. I love it. You know, I'm still a boy with a new toy. Yes, no, I think it's fantastic. So I don't regret it at all. I mean, it's, you know, when people ask me about it, I say it's not about saving the planet. It's about a better driving experience. You know, I'm not that fussed about, you know, electricity versus pumping out petrol fumes. I just enjoy every day hopping in the car and experiencing a different experience. So that's, nothing's changed in the 10 months I've had it.
Very good.
Yeah.
What did you come from? What car did you have previously, Bill?
Oh no, you're getting rude now. I had a Volkswagen, and I drive my wife's Volkswagen Polo from often because we have that sort of family where if we hop in the car, I drive, and I hate it.
Yeah.
Absolutely hate it.
It's a world away from the Tesla, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So I do have complexities, like I hop in her car and I find the keys are in my pocket and I go to press the stalk on the right, but I got to change the gears instead. I walk away from the car and forget to lock it.
I've done that a couple of times.
There's a whole range of problems that I create simply because my pattern of behaviour has shifted. And when I get into this other car, it's I forget to do what I should do.
I often liken it to making a transition from the old Nokia phone to a smartphone. They're both phones. They can both get you from, you know, make a phone call from person A to person B. Both cars can get you from point A to point B. But the way they do it is just worlds apart.
Yeah, it's quite different. I mean, the big difference for me is, you know, one pedal driving and taking your foot off the accelerator. I mean, it's a wrong word. Accelerator is the wrong word for a Tesla. It's a speed controller, I think, rather than an accelerator. So the accelerator is a petrol car concept, but just moving your foot back and forth is what the pleasure of driving is, and the power when you go faster, and just your ability to control the speed and feel safe in that control, I think.
Finding you hardly ever touch the brakes anymore.
Yeah, well, I had a problem because after a while my brakes were squeaking when I was backing out, and it's a bit embarrassing when you got this fancy car and you go squeak, squeak, squeak as you drive back out of the driveway. So eventually Tesla came out and scrubbed down the brake pads and it's been fine since.
Yeah, it's probably because you never use the brake pads.
That's right.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
It is exactly
Yeah.
because
Yes, that's-
because I'm also not an aggressive driver, so therefore I've always been a driver that's held back a bit. I started out driving, old cars that you used to have to throw an anchor out to stop it. So I've always had a healthier distance between me and the car in front. So I rarely touch the brakes, just to physically come to a stop.
Yeah, the recommendation with EVs is every now and then just to press the brakes fairly hard, every blue moon or so, just to give them a scrub down so they don't squeak.
Yeah, I was just
Well, my
about to say
first
that.
discussion with the workshop was that I should drive it down the street and have about 10 emergency stops, which I did, but that didn't really solve it.
Oh, okay.
But I probably now it might because I've had a good scrub.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why autopilot's got built in, jamming the brakes on every now and again, just so that
Yeah, well,
That must be it.
I haven't advanced to autopilot yet.
Have you used
Have you
it
got-
at all? Or
Sorry?
have you used it at all, or have you
No.
just?
It's beyond my technical thinking.
You need to try it. It's fantastic.
I know I should. I know.
Yeah.
I just,
I'm
Yeah.
exactly the opposite, Bill. How do you drive this car? I put it on full self-driving and it gets me there. And that was easy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Fortunately, I've sold my FEV, so I've only got the one car now. So it's easier to get used to the one.
While on the subject of autopilot, has anyone heard that the rewrite of Tesla FSD is going to be released next week? Just a handful, most probably.
Yeah, just the good drivers.
Just the good drivers. You're correct. Yes.
Sounds like it might be Bill, but
Yeah.
Just the drivers and just in North America and just cars with hardware 3. But the good news is that will flow through, I think, quite quickly to elsewhere. So whether that gets released as the next major release, so whether we go up to version 11 from here or whether it just becomes 10.3, we don't know. But it's very exciting.
It is.
Yeah, with the total rewrite, I think they have to start again from the beginning, most probably, because it's totally different from what we have now at the moment. So
I think
Yeah,
some
I
of
think
the
Elon described it as kind of hitting kind of local maximas. When you're doing that sort of software development, you kind of go down a path thinking this is going to lead you where you go, and they kept finding that they'd go so far down a path and go, actually this isn't the solution, we'll start another path, and I think they've now found in their beta testing a path that takes them a lot further, and that's really exciting. And it's that is one of those awesome things about owning a Tesla is we'll all just get a software update one day and we'll have it.
And then there'll be one day when just with the flick of a switch and an update, Uber and all the other ride-hailing companies are effectively going to be out of business.
you're right.
Yeah. And then the philosophical conversation is as to whether that's a good thing or not. But anyway, I think it's awesome. I'm still looking forward to the having one extra gin and tonic and then getting in the back seat and having it drive me home. That'll be fantastic.
I'm looking forward to putting the kids in the car and have the car drop them off at school and then have the car go and pick them up from school.
School traffic will be the ultimate test of full self-driving. If there's no test of full self-driving that is worse than any other, it's no negotiating after school traffic.
Yep, that's the holy grail, I think.
But anyway.
well, on the self-driving, can anyone tell me how to reverse park or park? I've tried it only twice, but I haven't got to square one with it.
There's a bit of a trick to it. So in order for it to, so you basically need to tell it which spot you want it to reverse to. And you do that by simply going past the spot. So if you're doing a perpendicular car park maneuver, then you go past the spot and you go a little bit past it, maybe a metre or so. So the back of your car should be maybe about a metre or so past the last car. And then you just press on the brake, or you don't even have to press on the brake, put it into reverse, and then just give it a half a second, and there should be a blue button that should come up. And then you just press on that button and watch the steering wheel spin and let the car do its thing. You've got to have nerves of steel, because if you don't trust it, especially the first few times, it will be, it will definitely be a test of your nerves.
Well, I sort of did that.
But,
I drove past the spot, selected reverse, even put the left-hand blinker on in case it needed to be told which way to go, but nothing happened. So I've got to keep persisting with that, I guess. Nothing happened at all. Because I know you've got to drive past it and let it find the spots, but it didn't do anything.
I've done it. I did 3 self-parks today, 2 of them perpendicular and 1 parallel, and did all 3 flawlessly. I mean, not flawlessly. It takes longer than a human driver. The parallel parking is, I would say, better than most human drivers already. The perpendicular is probably, twice or 3 times as slow as a human driver at the moment. But when you're going past that empty spot, are you fairly close to the cars, or?
Yes, reasonably close. Yes.
Yeah, but about a metre away or so.
I've gone past the spot by maybe even a touch more than that.
Yep, and so when you're going past so in both directions, so I think you should be roughly about a metre away from the cars, and from both directions, so both perpendicularly and parallel.
Well, I put it where I thought I would put it to reverse park. So I was about a metre away from the back of the cars and about a metre past the car parking spot. But yeah, I couldn't get. It's probably just the operator, something I'm not doing right. I've probably just got to persist a bit more.
Okay.
So
It will only select park if there are 2 cars on either side and a vacant spot in the middle. If there's 2 vacant spots, it will not do it. You have to have just 1 vacant spot in the middle.
And I must admit, it's a shopping centre one, and so it wasn't ultra wide, but the cars beside us, I picked it so that they were on their side of the line, so it should have been possible to get in, but they're not big spaces by any means, for sure. Maybe it didn't consider it big enough.
Yeah, but that's a very important point from Ashley. We'll only do it if there's one empty spot in between two spots that are occupied.
Yes, that was what my case was. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll just try that again and see how I go, I think.
And just make sure when it is doing its auto park thing, keep your foot right above the brake, just in case.
Yeah.
I just posted a YouTube link in the chat to Tesla's video instruction, if that helps.
Oh, nice.
Oh, Harold's already grabbed it. There you go.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Sorry I'm late.
That's all right.
Yeah, I never did get the P.
I think you've got to drive past slow.
Yeah.
I was quite slow.
Yes.
So I was aware of that. It's got to find that or identify the spot.
And if you look on that video, he actually went quite a way past it.
Well, they said it can't link originally.
Stupid question. It isn't a feature you can turn on and off, is it?
Don't think it is from what I read.
Yeah, no, I think it's always on. So that, yeah, I mean, you certainly don't need to get into reverse before it'll give you the P. It's just a matter of going past nice and slow, and once it identifies the location, it'll give you a little P, and then you stick it in reverse and press the button, and away it goes. I don't use it a lot because I find I can parallel park faster than it can. And as Pete alluded to, the 90-degree parking terrifies the Jesus out of me when it does it. It does it in a very weird way. It kind of goes right back in, and then it goes forward, and then I'm going to. I just can't do that.
Yeah.
I've already.
I think.
Scary.
Sorry, last Thursday at the RAC thing, I saw a couple of people try to reverse their cars into spots, and it was very slow, and it stops about 6 inches short of one car, pulls forwards and straightens up. And I looked at it, and I've never used it, and I'm thinking, until it gets better, I can park 20 cars in the time it took that one to get in.
Yeah, reverse parking in particular is slow. The parallel's actually not bad, but
Yeah.
Does anyone find, I find mine goes back too far. So it wants to be close to, it almost wants to be a certain distance from the car behind you. But of course it's already well in its bay, so it kind of encroaches. So then you got to
Yeah.
like sort of stop, and then you got to go forward about a meter to correct it.
Yeah, I think you're right, Harold, because it does the reverse quite fast. But I think if you get your distances right, it tends to do it in about most probably 3 to 4 maximum. But you got to be spot on with that. I've tried it out a couple of times. It worked fantastic, but other times, as you said, it just 7 or 8 times, and then it just gives up. So
There is a setting somewhere where you can adjust how close it is. It gets to the cars to either side of you.
That's when it's in summon
Yes.
for your garage. Yes, that's what it does there. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's an adjustment for the parallel or perpendicular parking, Pete, but
No,
definitely in summon you can tighten it up.
Yes.
I think it's 30 centimeters is the smallest, which is good.
And that's only straight and then straight back out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll try again.
Good luck.
Cool. So excuse me for being late. It's my first time. I'll have to bring a note from the teacher. I presume we've all done cooling and stuff. We've done all that.
Yep.
Cool.
We've talked about cooling. We've talked about the Cleaver's 2 million mile road trip.
2 million.
Well, 2,000.
We didn't even keep a tab, but about 16 or 1700k, I guess, in total.
That'd be about right. Yeah, that's a good trip.
It was.
Very enjoyable in the Tesla when you're not too low on electronics.
Absolutely.
I would ask if there were any shouty conversations going on in the car, because that would be impolitic.
We've been waiting for some time for the inside screens to rock in from China, and of course they got here once we got back from the trip.
Of course they did.
Yep. Very impressed with them. They fit beautifully. They look good. Easy to put in and out. But the rear screen you can't see out the back window. So has anyone else had the screens like that?
No, I haven't got. Are they the official Tesla ones that you bought?
No, these out of China. Cost a whole $127 delivered, I think it was.
All right.
Yeah, but they're good.
I drive with the reverse camera on so I can see what's behind me.
Yeah. But that's not too bad. Just today I'm experimenting with the pressing the right button for the audio control and just saying camera, and the camera comes on, and then you can change it to map or navigate home. Yeah, I've really got to pay more attention to the audio controls.
There's a whole long comprehensive list of those controls, and they're pretty long list.
Yeah, I need to check it out because it is a really good resource. I think it works well.
I think you can wind down your windows, you can wind them up while you're driving.
Oh, really? Is that new? Because I remember one of the first things I tried with my car was getting it to try and open and close the sunroof, and it wouldn't do it. They must have added vocabulary to it later.
MCU one. Sorry, did I just cough MCU one?
I'm going to go out and try it. In fact, I'm going to go now and try it because I want to know.
Oh, a live demonstration, but you haven't moved. Your background's the same. Oh, now you've gone dark.
Was he in the car?
I don't know.
He looks like the blob, the thing.
You don't. You can talk amongst yourselves while I'm walking out to the car.
So speaking of talking amongst ourselves, no doubt you guys have talked about Coolin and that ridiculous portable 50 kilowatt charger that someone dragged around to it. It turns out that, yes, the one that Rob is pointing his right arm to on stage left, that charge is actually going to Ravensthorpe on Friday.
Yay.
To be dropped off on the way to Esperance, and then I'll retrieve it on Sunday. As it turns out, Galaxy Resources are having a field day or an expo on Saturday, and since there'll be a charger put there just like the Lake Grace one, it was sort of appropriate to give them a bit of a preview of what it will be like when it's actually there.
Fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's going to be it's going to be a long road trip on Thursday. Oh, sorry, on Friday. But at least I do get to drop it off at Ravensthorpe on our way to Esperance. But also get a quick charge at Ravensthorpe, which will be useful. The only thing is, the last time I went to Lake Grace, I got there with 5%. So I'm not sure with having the shark fin whether it's going to be a little bit thirstier, which I really know it will be. Oh, here we go. We got Ken live demonstration. He's about to say,
It's
open
already,
sunroof.
I've already, as all good YouTubers know, I've already done the test before I turn the audio on and it doesn't work. I press the button that says, open the sunroof. It says, this command is not available yet.
Right.
Try open the glove box.
Oh, really?
Oh, we can. Oh, yeah, we can.
Open the glove box.
You put a code on your glove box, Brian.
There you
That
go.
worked, I heard it.
It says,
Try your mirrors.
maybe it's because I've got an MCU1.
Oh, well, that's why I coughed MCU1.
Yeah, that's right.
What you should do is what all good YouTubers actually do, which is you say the command and then you actually press the button on the MCU, which actually opens the
Yeah.
actually opens
Oh, hang on,
the
let me
sunroof.
do that. And then you can go, wow, open the sunroof.
You go, wow,
Oh, look at that.
Ken's car's got superpowers.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Teslas are rubbish. You buy a Tesla.
Got a more basic question. Do you send out reminders for subscriptions?
Yes, we do. And the
Oh.
good news, David, is that yours is still it's not expired.
Oh, that's good.
So
I
you
thought
can rest
I-
easy. Yes,
Oh
we do.
gosh, I don't know what to do with the extra $20, but thanks for that.
Yeah, so I didn't actually look to see when yours is due, but the main thing I made sure of is that you're not on our
Default list.
yes, basically, yes.
Okay.
So we recently did a bit of a pre-AGM announcement hit list of everyone who's go away music. Of everyone who needs to renew now, and there's a few people still on our hit list. But if you haven't got an email from Harold, then you're okay.
Okay.
As of last year, we switched to a instead of being a financial year memberships, we'll just from when you join to when you join, and that clicked over on the 1st of July this year. So we're now in the new scheme. So it'll all be a bit easier, and the system can automatically email you. But if you haven't got a manual email from Harold, you're not in arrears. So panic not.
Oh, that's good.
That makes more sense anyway, doesn't it? It's good.
It does.
Yeah, we had the difficulty when people would be joining up late in the financial year, then we'd either pro rata them or just give them the extra year, or if it was sort of before Christmas, we go, well, it's only $20 and it's a donation. But it was just simpler just to say, well, your anniversary date is when you joined, and that's when it falls due. And Ken, being our host master, is setting up the system so it'll automatically send out reminder emails to renew.
That's great. No problem.
So that'll just make it a lot easier for all of us, really.
Well, mine should be due because I've just got the AVA reminder, and paid that. And as you know, I went back from the Como Car Rally a year ago. I ordered my Tesla and I joined Tokwa, I joined Ava. So I would have thought I'd be due now.
How about I look?
Probably are, which always makes for good live TV. And we're only going to tell you because you asked us, so we're not dobbing in anyone.
That's all right. So yes, I can look it up, but everyone has a 3-month grace period constitutionally, so we don't get too anal about it. But there will be stuff happening.
Nigel, you joined on the 6th of October.
Ah, I'm in arrears.
Well, yeah, but as Ken said, you've got like a 3-month grace period as a full member, so panic not.
But feel free to go to tokwa.org.au/renew my membership and pay us money. That would be awesome.
Indeed. And
otherwise, it's 10% per day interest.
Well, and feel free to enroll your cat, your dog, your whatever. We'll take the $20 from anything that's got a heartbeat. Oh, sorry, and a Tesla. Well, details.
Yeah.
Your dog will have to be a social member.
Could you tell me what the plan is here?
But yes, I think that automatic email process is evolving shortly.
It's yes, I'm hoping. I've just rolled up my test server, and I'm hoping it won't spam everyone with incorrect messages while I'm testing it. But apologies in advance if it does. But should work, But technology.
No pressure.
I think somewhere I've got an email also requesting further information for my membership. Is that a normal thing? Because I haven't done it yet anyway.
Oh yes, Pete. Yes, as part of the sign-up process, you've got to do a follow-up. You've got to complete. Actually, sorry, can you explain that, please?
The way the system works is it takes your money and then it sends you a link so you can then log back in and complete the rest of your details for your membership, which would be great if you did.
Okay.
And I think I manually sent you one, Peter, because Gmail quite often just eats our automated response. So you probably got a manual email from me with a link for going and doing that.
I'm just looking for it. I can't see it, but I know I got something somewhere, so I'll have a look and try and fill that out for you.
If you can't find it, let me know. I'll send it to you again.
Well, maybe if you could do that anyway, if it's not too much trouble.
I'll do it right now.
That'd be great.
So Harold, when you're going via Williams on the way to Lake Grace or to Ravensthorpe, so are you going to use your unit to charge up at Williams, hooking up to the 3-phase?
No, for 2 reasons. The first one is that it's only got a 16 amp circuit breaker on it.
Right.
And I'm actually going via Brookton because it's shorter.
Uh-huh.
And like I said, last time I went there, when it first was installed, I went via Brookton, and I think I left with about 97%, and I got there with 5% left.
Uh-huh.
Now with this shark fin, I'm going to be a bit thirstier, so I'll probably have to a little break at Brookton, maybe for 15 minutes or so, just to get a bit more juice, so that I don't have to slow down too much.
Okay.
But yeah, so I won't be going via Williams. We did go home from Corlin via Williams.
Mm-hmm.
But as you probably already discussed, they were pretty busy there, so we ended up going to Boddington.
Yeah, we heard.
Which was good.
I've just paid you $20.
Thanks, Nigel. That'll get me half a carton of beer, so that's good. Oh, you mean, sorry, to Tokwa. Oh, right. Oh, right. I'm sure our treasurer will be very pleased.
About to buy the whole committee a carton of beer.
We're very frugal with our funds. Although we have, I think we have bought a spare tyre, Ken, or we're about to.
Yes. So I've ordered a modern spare kit from the US to suit Model 3. It will be a little while until we get it because it's coming via camel during COVID. But I would hope we would have it by Christmas. So yes, we've done that. And that'll be good. I was hoping to have kind of one magical spare that we could use for every car, but it's at times like this you discover that in Tesla's infinite wisdom, the stud pattern on Model S's and X's is different for the stud pattern on Model 3s and Ys. So those tires aren't quite the same. But if this one looks good, I think the plan is we'll probably order a second one with the S/X stud pattern as well. So we have one full size Model 3 18-inch spare, and we've got an X spare, and McCarthy's have a 19-inch S spare. So we've got a reasonable amount of tires and stuff to go around. So that'll be good for road tripping.
And the 3 spare, is that an 18-inch?
Yeah. So the one we've got is a full size Aero, basically SR Plus wheel. So unfortunately, it won't fit a Performance Plus because of the rear brake calipers. I think it might actually be the front brake calipers, but yeah.
Yeah, one or the other. That's right. I think there's a bolt attached to the brake caliper that holds it in some circumstance that binds with the Aero rear wheel. So then we'll have 2 Model 3 spares, one universal one for performance and anything else, and one non-performance.
Yeah, so one space saver that will fit every car, but is not good for traveling a very long distance at speed, and one that's a completely factory, full size spare, which a couple of people have borrowed already, but no one's actually fitted it to their car yet. So it's pretty much brand new that time.
Well, it's good they haven't had to use it, isn't it? So it's the plus side.
Absolutely. It's like taking an umbrella. If you take an umbrella, it's not going to rain. If you lug a spare tire around, you'll be fine.
With my other hat on, can I plug the Mossman Park Craft Market and Community Fair on the 8th of November?
No, sorry, I'm going to have to mute.
We talked about it last night.
Yeah, of course you can.
So yeah, plug away.
Well, basically, it's the men's shed at the Mossman Park. We put on a community fair and craft market every year. Electric vehicles was the main display last year. I think we had a racing car out the front. And the Tesla Owners Club have been invited to come along this year and have a stall, not an actual full display. I've also invited the Australian Electric Vehicles Association along. So I think we're waiting for an application form from.
Oh, I hear my name implied in vain.
Yeah, Mr. Secretary, do you think we can fill out an application form?
I've just been so busy. Take this as recorded live to YouTube that we are going, Russell. So
okay,
if you take that that's a virtual verbal recorded commitment. We'll let the minions do the paperwork later.
There's not much to the paperwork. I mean, say the main thing of the paperwork is that you read it and agree to all our terms and conditions.
Yes, which we all end up agreeing whether we agree to them or not.
Yeah, and I'm sure you've got insurance. If not,
yes, we do. Yes, and that's one of the vital things of this club is that we have proper insurances for any events that we participate in.
Yep.
So that's also something that's good for all our members to know. Whenever we do a meetup or whatever, we do have insurance.
That's good.
David, what times of the day is it happening?
It opens at 9:30 till about 2:30 in the afternoon, so you don't have to get up sort of dawn or earlier to get there. It's a good market to display Teslas, although you'll probably only have 1 or 2 parking bays at the stand itself. I strongly suggest you have a gazebo, either bring your own or tick the box which says you'd like a gazebo and prepared to pay a few dollars extra. It does get a bit warm out there. What else can I tell you? I'm on the craft market, on the men's shed, toys and other things we've made.
Oh, toys.
So Yeah, I'm trying to get one of the guys to make some Tesla cyber trucks, but not having much luck there. Yeah, so it's a good day. $2 entry, preferably cash or notes. And yeah, it's a good day. We had 1,500 people through last year. This year will probably be a little bit bigger because the council's coming on board. Might make a good location for the casual meetup, but I'll leave that up to you to decide.
I missed the date. What date was it?
It's the 8th of November, Sunday, the 8th of November.
Oh, we've got
Yeah, some people are running off to Esperance and places like that to get away from it.
Yeah, our casual meetup is in November, is due on the Wednesday the 4th. That's an evening.
Oh, right.
But that's not to say that there won't be several
Yeah.
TOCA members that won't be going to the men's shed. So that's cool. Yeah, no doubt there'll be a few of us there.
Yeah, I
As I
reckon it'd be
said,
great. We'll definitely- And it
As I-
definitely got a mention last night at the AIVA meeting as well. So I know Chris Jones
that's
are
good.
planning to be there and a few others. So it'll be good.
Yeah. That'd be great. Okay, look forward to seeing you all there.
Yeah, absolutely. And yes, David, I will get that paperwork to you, the email.
Yeah, we'd like to know, or if you could send it to the address on the form, which
Yeah,
is something
quite.
like MPMS
Yes.
or something.
Yep, absolutely.
Because I'm not actually handling the application, someone else.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, great. Thanks.
will do.
Glad-
Harold, where is the TOCA meetup on the Wednesday 4th? Have you got a place yet?
No.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
Short answer is no. Harold and I got together before the AIVA meeting last night and kicked around some ideas. And after a mojito, we didn't land anywhere. We actually spent most of the time, as I alluded earlier, scheming our next drive because we all had some fun doing Coolin. So I don't know if we want to reveal too much about that at this point, but yeah, we're very excited about doing an even longer one now that we know we've got a DC charger that we can lug around.
Oh, look, I guess it doesn't hurt to sort of say that we're aspirationally looking at Kalbarri. Clearly, because all the resorts are all busy during the school holidays, we'd have to do it before then, otherwise there'd be zero chance of getting any bookings. We were even kicking around maybe doing a slightly long weekend version where optionally people could leave on Friday, so you get 2 nights at Kalbarri. We're just sort of kicking around the logistics of that, such as if we do it over a 2-day outbound journey, so over Friday and Saturday, I might leave the charger somewhere in Geraldton over those 2 days. So that people that are either retired or semi-retired or have, flexible hours or time or whatever can, enjoy a couple of days there as opposed to just an overnighter. And I guess aspirationally that would have to be sort of, well, clearly before Christmas. I think we're really talking about November, Ken, although November's a busy month, but it's something that we're looking at well, we're looking into and seeing, and we'll obviously see what sort of interest there is. I think a safer way would be if we can try and secure some accommodation as a block. That might be we might be reserving it for a short period of time and then giving members the opportunity to take it up before we release it back to the general public or whatever. So yeah, that's what we're looking at.
Yeah, you frequently get preferential rates as well if you can say we want 10 rooms
Yes.
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, 10 is a great number. We're also looking at trying to get a block of 10 at least, and then having a short window to book it or confirm.
Yeah.
And then the rest can be casual, now we've got fast-ish DC charging. There's a lot more flexibility as far as numbers of cars and that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
Linda and I would definitely be interested. We've been talking about going up to Kalbarri because we went to Geraldton for 3 or 4 days.
Yep.
So we'd probably make a bit of a longer trip and stay in Geraldton again and then go up to Kalbarri.
What we'd probably do is we'd schedule charging. We'll calculate how much charge each different car needs, which is not difficult to do. And then we'll basically, it'll be a bit like an extended rally, whereby rather than actually driving in a convoy, which is counterproductive, we'll actually allocate slots where you can, certain cars, I mean, for instance, Greg's Raven Model S can pretty much almost get to Kalbarri without charging, almost, or possibly, or maybe actually without charging. Other cars, we sort of schedule them in to arrive at Jurien Bay in certain slots. And depending on what we calculate, it might be like a half-hour slot or something similar. So you sort of get up there progressively. So then everyone, no one has to really wait around for someone else to finish. And then Geraldton will try and get a good power source so we can get even faster charging if possible. In fact, from Geraldton to Kalbarri, it's only a short hop. I think it's less than 150 kilometres. And then obviously charging in Kalbarri, that's not a big issue because you can just relentlessly charge it over the next day or two. Because as we know, most cars don't really drive around that much during the day while we're there. So that's what we're looking at.
Is any of the accommodation places up there, do they have destination charges?
Not to my knowledge, no. Just perusing.
There is charging up there, but I think it's public charging rather than at venues.
Yes.
There's a 3-phase power point there.
Yes, I think
Luxor has something at the visitor centre there.
Yeah, there is. There's something at the visitor centre as well. We're all on PlugShare right now, aren't we? Trying to find out.
Yeah, we've got that on. So it's the National Park Visitor Centre. So it's actually got a HPWC and 3-phase by the look of it. Although one thing we can't tell from this, we might have to ask one of these people who checked in whether they are independent. Whether they're separate circuits or whether
they're separate things up there, is my understanding. There's a on the side of the building, there's an HPWC on the building, and in the car park on its own little riser is the 3-phase. So that picture is the 3.
Right. Yes, and there it is. There's the meter box.
Another picture. There's another picture with the Model S. That first picture with the Model S, the red signature Model S, that's plugged into the one at the building.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so they're separate. So that's great. So that's actually pretty good because we could set up the fast charger there. Wow, that'd be quite good. That'd be cool. So we can then charge any car at 22 kilowatts, which is not too bad.
Yep.
Plus, presumably also charge from the HPWC separately at between 22 and 11 kilowatts. So yeah, so charging will be zero issue in Kalbarri. Yeah. Oh, another thing too is something I bought with me to Coolin was an octopus that basically converts the 3-phase 32 amps 3-phase into 3 separate 32 amp single phase outlets that you can basically charge 3 cars simultaneously at 7 kilowatts, which again is 35 plus k's an hour charging for 3 cars simultaneously. So again, that gets the job done quite quickly. So yeah, so Kalbarri is definitely in our sights. It's just a matter of trying to peg down some accommodation that we can sort of book as a block or reserve as a block, and then fairly quickly getting out an email and some info, publicizing it, and a date, obviously. Bearing in mind that, Christmas is rushing towards us. It is a bit, it is warming up, but I guess, hey, you know, we've all got air cons, so, you know, bit of that would be nice.
You're not allowed to use it if you're getting low. That's the issue here.
That's right. That's what Richard from Northern Territory calls slow and sweaty. The hypermilers trick for a Tesla is you do a slow and sweaty run.
Back in the old days, it used to be the 4x60.
Yes,
four
that's
windows
right.
down, 60 miles an hour or 60 kilometres an hour.
And it's funny you say that, Nigel, because when I was driving between Tennant Creek and Camberwell, I was doing for quite a while 60 k's an hour, but I can assure you that I had the windows up and the aircon on.
Yeah.
So I don't mind doing a slow trip, but I'm not going to be marinating myself in a spit roast. Yeah, I just don't do it to myself. And actually, all jokes aside, the aircon isn't as big a load as you think. You get much better saving simply slowing down, because trying to push all that air out the way in front of you is a real source of drag, as opposed to the aircon. So yeah, slow and sweaty is okay, but yeah, no, just leave.
Yeah, but if you look at the physics of hot air, it's thinner, so it's easier to push through.
Well, it's funny because a lot of hypermilers actually will drive at night. And it actually rang true on my trip to Lake Grace, where I actually got a fair bit better economy on the way back. Although Pete had the opposite experience, which is kind of strange.
True. Yeah.
And I think the theory of that is that because the road itself isn't so hot, you don't get as much rolling resistance because your tyres aren't as sticky to the road. Albeit that if the air is colder, it's denser. But you know, who really knows? You know, rolling resistance is a big part of it. So
I'd be interested to know what your guys' thoughts are as to what would consume more power, having the aircon on or having the windows down.
Having the windows down.
Yeah, thought so.
It's proven.
And
It's proven, is it?
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Well, something you can do if you're really stuck is you can just put your aircon on vent. So you put your aircon on and then turn the AC off. So it's just basically, and make sure it's on fresh air, and then it will get the fresh air through the vent, which is not going to affect your aerodynamics. But
and even if the AC is on, as long as the temperature is fairly similar to the temperature outside, it's probably not working as hard, presumably. As long as you don't have it on recirculate.
And
but once the car's cool, maybe put it on recirculate rather than bring in the hot air.
And simply slowing down, you know, even 5 or 10 k's an hour will give you much more saving than turning your aircon off.
Yeah, I did an experiment early on in the piece when I got my Model 3 going up and down the Kwinana Freeway and the Forest Highway. And for every 5 k's slower, you improved about 10 watt hours per k. It was 8 it worked out at, I think.
The formulaic way to work it out is it's the speed difference raised to the power of 1.2, and it's just a really weird number, but it works really well. So for 10% reduction, you get 10% raised to the power of 1.2, which is about 13-14%.
Well, coming back from Coolin into Perth, I was on minus 42 watt hours per kilometre.
Going down the hill.
Yeah, I reset it at the top of Greenmount and just thought, I wonder what happens if by the time I get down, and on the lights down the bottom, I was minus 42 watt hours a kilometre.
No, I think that you
With the aircon
actually,
on.
you put it in drive and you hooked a tow hitch up to a truck and got towed.
I love that bit when you're coming down the Scarp and it says projected range 999 kilometers. It never seems to go above 999, but
even getting all the way to the UWA charger, so that was about 50 kilometres, and I was still under 99. So yeah, 99 watt hours per kilometre.
Yeah, it's amazing what a bit of potential energy, what difference that makes going down the hill. Of course, it costs you up the hill, so you can get quite nervous if you've got a long route to do. And as you're going up the hill, your economy is just terrible. It's like 300 watt hours or whatever. But, you know, what you lose on the swings, you make up on the roundabouts.
But
Yeah, I think
comparing it to
power to get to Coolin than I did. Sorry, the other way around. I used more power to get to Coolin than I used to get home.
Yeah, because it's uphill.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, whatever.
I went out to York about 3 times the last month, and I had the same experience. So going up Greenmount, I was using up power, and I only leave it on the percentage. And I actually going down Greenmount, I saw the percentage going up.
Yep, I've had that too. It's great.
That's the difference between an ICE and a electric motor is, you know, the ICE is just as inefficient going up the hill, but it can't get any benefit coming back down it, whereas a electric car can.
And that harks back to that that electric dump truck that's used in a mine somewhere in the States, and they call it.
No, in South America.
Oh, sorry, South America. Sorry, that's the other part of
Yeah, because the mine's up the top of the hill, so it comes down full and goes up empty, and they have to actually offload power at the end of the day because they generate more than they use by quite a large proportion.
Yeah, so they charged it once, which was
they only ever charged the trucks once. Yeah,
exactly. They charge it once just to get it up the hill, and then after that, it's a classic gravity engine, which is a bit like how black holes make energy and all that sort of stuff. It's just gravity, potential energy.
And they have to discharge it because otherwise the regen doesn't work on the way down, and they're using too much of the brake pads. So
sorry, and the great thing is they don't have to use brakes much at all. So as opposed to their diesel powered truck, which had to burn a whole lot of diesel going up the hill, and then you'd burn a whole lot of brake pads going down the hill. Now you've just got this thing that is actually generating electricity that they can use at their office or you know their plant or whatever.
The regen, exactly. You have to use their brakes on the way down. Oh. They get to dump electricity. That's a perpetual motion.
Cool. So any other news or anything that's been going around?
Starlink in Australia.
Oh yes, they got the license. They've started up they registered a business and got approval.
Yeah, it was hilarious. They initially had they initially put the application in under the name of Tibro, Tibro. I can see your mind ticking there, Harold.
Yeah, it's orbit backwards.
Yes, very good, Nigel. Very good. That's why I just put on Twitter, I said, Tibro, hilarious. And then I put all set.
Yes. Well, it's funny because one of our committee members has got all set as his number plate.
Oh, he's a bugger because I tried to register that because if you actually look in the rearview mirror, it would come up as Tesla and they would probably allow it. Yeah, I've tried that one, but couldn't get it through.
Trev's Model S already has all set on it.
No, Trev.
It took me the third time I saw the car for it to twig.
Yeah, I actually thought all set was some sort of fixing place or some bonding thing or glue or some company, and it just didn't twig.
No, but yes.
Yeah, so Starlink's exciting. I mean, that's, you know, even at Coolin, we had some issues with communications. I think it was Vodafone and Optus were suboptimal.
And actually, on that point, Harold, just to let everyone know, there's only Tesla reception at Lake Grace. So if you're trying to get the charger to work via ChargeFox, via the app, you don't have reception. So you either got to go to the petrol station, I think Joseph said, where he was able to get some Wi-Fi or something. But yeah, that's important to know.
On that note, I don't recall if we've mentioned it here, but we are going to get membership cards with names on it. So there'll be a MyFair, like a credit card size with a lanyard, and we'll have it custom printed with everyone's individual names and our logo. But it will be a MyFair card. So what you'll be able to do is contact ChargeFox and get them to attach that MyFair card number to your account. And then you can use that card to activate any of ChargeFox's attached charges or run charges, including Lake Grace and a lot of the ones around Perth as well, for that matter.
So you should be able to, if it's an RFID card, you might be able to use it for the rev charges, the UWA
Indeed.
rev charges
Sorry,
as
yeah,
well.
and I was going to say yes, and also the UWA charger, but not the minor AC rev charges, because I think they're currently on a different RFID tag.
They use the older RFID frequency, yeah, with the old round tags. So I guess,
yeah, go on, Ken.
No, I was just going to completely change the subject on, since you were talking about news, the other news seems to be that Tesla has gone a bit real estate mad in the last 7 days. So if you hadn't heard, they've signed a contract for the old Peugeot dealership on the corner of Main Street. But at the same time, they've also signed a contract in the Gold Coast, and one in Parramatta, and one in Chatswood, and another one somewhere else. So someone at Tesla's obviously got the go-ahead to just get stuck into making delivery centers in Australia.
I think when they raised that $1 or $2 billion, they thought, now we really are flush with funds. Let's go and spread it.
Yeah, Tesla and the Gong put out a YouTube, which our website features on, with my Google overhead view of the Peugeot site. So I was quite pleased about that. But yeah, it's not just us. I mean, it's great for there finally to be a Perth location. And I'm sure Harry and his new offsider, who we haven't met yet, but we've got to find their new sales guy to have somewhere to go live. So as soon as we find out when they're going to be there, we'll have to go down with some Tocco branded champagne and wet its head.
I was up at Tesla yesterday, and of course I went up because my windscreen wipers were playing up. And they worked perfectly the whole bloody time I was there.
That's a rule.
So I'll have to wait for the next downpour. But I asked them about the move, and they were all quite excited and looking forward to it. But it's going to take a while.
Yes,
they've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, they've currently got a
email from Tesla saying they've ordered a new wiper mechanism for mine, because mine haven't worked since I got it. It only swipes half the screen. So maybe yours is the same problem.
No, mine was swiping 1.5 screens.
Oh,
bonus.
So we should combine.
That's right. I remember now. It was over wiping, so it was going past its limit.
And it's cured itself, so I don't.
Of course, it has. Yes. Again, back to the service centre and sales outlet and delivery centre. Yeah, the great thing is that there's a separate building, a smaller building, where Harry will be able to do deliveries, a little bit like we're accustomed to seeing almost every other Tesla outlet do, which is where your car is there, and there's like a little presentation, and people buying the cars will feel quite special, having them presented to them, before they drive off into the sunset. So yeah, I think most of the Tesla employees are rightly excited about it, and it's a great vote of confidence finally in WA. And WA traditionally punches above its weight in the premium car category. We've got tons of Maseratis and other ridiculous cars. And finally, I think there'll be an opportunity for us to again punch above our weight as far as Tesla goes, because there's no doubt there's a huge appetite for these cars, but some people rightly want to kick the tires and sit in it and have a test ride and have a look at the 3 different varieties, and soon to be 4 that will be here. So yeah, it's awesome news.
There isn't a crappy industrial unit in next to the Semo.
Yeah, which we used to just quietly take the Mickey out of every now and then. And I even adopted up an image of it and put Tesla there and put a supercharger stall, you know. And I must admit, we were sort of trying our best to be magnanimous and be polite, but it was a bit of a, yeah, it was easy to sort of take the fun out of it. Well yeah, whatever.
Now we just need a bunch more superchargers over here, which is the next thing on the agenda. So Williams, we know about. And,
yes.
Is Williams going to be a supercharger? Or
Yes,
is that
absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, Williams Woolshed have signed a contract with Tesla to install a supercharger in early 21.
Do we know if it's a sled or if it's going to
No,
be a
it's
permanent?
definitely not. I asked,
Okay.
and it's definitely not a sled because
It's like a 6 station.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Do you know where
So
it's going to be?
Yes, it's the northeast side where the little not marquee beer garden, whatever you want to call it,
Where the arts
go
studio around the north side.
Where the kids' playground is, just there.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's
Is
on
that
the
right?
it's on the road perpendicular to Albany Highway on the north side, and there's actually
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
it's I don't think it's a transformer, but it's like a big switchboard, like underground power switchboard thing, box,
Yeah.
rather large. It's highly likely to be there. It just makes sense for it to be there, and it's sort of away from the main car park.
Well, that's what I was worried about. If it's right where the existing charger is, then yeah, it's going to get.
Oh no, you wouldn't.
iced.
No, you wouldn't. No, that would be a big mistake. And the good thing is
I
because
agree.
there's clearly power in that sort of far corner, it just makes perfect sense for it to be
Yeah,
there.
sure.
So
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. Cool, wicked.
yeah,
And
so-
on a busy weekend like the last weekend, that was just filled up with cars all parking along there. So when there's going to be proper parking spots, you can just imagine all those superchargers being iced on a weekend like that.
yeah, I guess we'll have to see how well they deal with that.
And how well it's signed.
Yes. Well, let's hope it's bitumized or something, or that it's clear, because at the moment that's just gravel. It's like an impromptu sort of parking. So presumably Tesla would put at least that concrete that's got. Oh, you beat me to it, Ken.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's this gravel bit just to the north
Just-
of it. Where it's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
go.
Just put your mouse up a bit.
And you can see there's
Yeah,
cars
right. Yeah,
parked
yeah,
there
yeah,
already.
yeah. A bit further up. Yeah, that's just that corner there. Yeah.
So it's off Richardson Street.
Yes, that's the one. That's it. Actually, if you can you do a street view? Is it possible to do a street view just on Richardson Street on that corner?
Yeah, hang on.
You're gonna wave little man over. Bit more to the right. Oh, yeah, okay, that'll do. You have to go down the road a bit. Yeah, chuck a left. Yep, yep. See that box? See that green box?
Oh, yeah,
That's it.
there's the tranny. Yep.
Yeah, right.
I don't think it's actually a transformer, Pete. I did look closely. Unless it's a small one, there's no heat fins or anything like that. It's not like a classic transformer, but it is like a big box.
Yeah, so
But
that's
there might-
Albany Highway back down there, and then there's this gravel
Yeah.
car park.
So where that between those two trees is where I think they would put the stalls. Probably, but you probably have to come off onto that lane to the left and then come into the superchargers rather than crossing that footpath.
Yeah.
And so is it going to be 6 or 12?
Don't know. And
I
look,
don't
to be honest, I hope there's actually 4 stalls, because I hope.
You mean
the
4?
reason why I hope that is, I hope it's a V3. And I
Yeah, right.
Well, it would make perfect sense to have just 4 stalls of one V3 cabinet. But then I think Tesla might not do that, or otherwise have to do 8 and do two cabinets, because they always like to have redundancy. So look, maybe it's going to be a 4-stall conventional one, which means 2 DC supplies and 2 stalls each. But it'd be lovely for it to be a V3 for starters, because it just chuffs the Model 3s and Ys coming next year through a lot quicker.
Didn't Musk say that all new superchargers were going to be V3s, or maybe not exclusively V3s?
I don't know. It's a good question, Richard. If they are continuing to install any superchargers that aren't V3, that's a good question. They're certainly doing a lot that are, but I don't know if that's exclusive. Yeah, I mean, we've certainly suggested to Tesla that they drop the old-fashioned connector and just go CCS, which means a la version 3. And don't worry about the backwards compatibility, because anyone with an old S or X can just get the adapter for $480. And, you know.
Yeah, but you have to get the internals done as well, though, don't you? So
yes, but the good thing is it's now only 480, whereas it used to be 780.
Is that for the internals and the adapter?
Total kit. That's the whole lot.
Right.
So
price about 6 weeks ago.
So you get
right. Well,
that's really good.
Cheaper than the $700 that the CHAdeMO adapter was.
Much better value. Yes.
Yeah. So, and like I said, I think all mature Tesla owners, or should I say, fair-minded Tesla owners, would accept that, you know, if you got the old standard, well, that's dead. Let's just move forward with the new one. And if you don't want to invest the $480, well, then you don't want to supercharge at Williams or Kogenup. Not that I'm saying that's what they're going to do, but that's what they should do.
But 480 is great value when you think about it. I mean, you can pay that much for a Type 2 to Type 2 cable.
Yeah, you can.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's not bad value.
I'm confused about this supercharger as to why there isn't even a pin on the Tesla website saying that that's where it's coming, especially if they've signed an understanding.
It's classic Tesla. They're great at some subtle marketing, viral marketing and things like that. But they sometimes just neglect that. Imagine how much excitement we'd have if we saw a pin at Williams and a pin at Kogenup and a pin wherever else they're doing stuff, which we don't know about, or for that matter, the service center. That, I'm sure they knew about that several weeks before the announcement by James Middleton at iDrive on last Thursday.
No, apparently, Harold, James said in that Zoom meeting that you and I were in, he said they was signed that morning.
Oh, okay.
So literally signed that day. Yeah.
I take that one back then. But as far as they clearly knew they were putting a supercharger at Williams, and like I said, it makes perfect sense for there to be one at Kogenup as well.
Because surely it would encourage people sitting on the fence and not knowing whether to go for it.
Yeah.
To go, oh well, Tesla, they're actually investing in the infrastructure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly, especially if you live in the area and you're in two minds about range and
we didn't think we could,
and all the rest of
it's
it.
vital for us, but when we see plug share, that's why we put our order in. But a lot of people like me, they thinking, oh, I want to go to Sydney, I can't get there, so there's no point.
Yeah.
If you know where things are or things are coming, it makes a big difference.
Exactly, yeah.
I guess the only counterpoint to that is that back in March 2017, there was a pin that appeared sort of near Bunbury. And that was good because in November 2017, Tesla put in a supercharger at Eton. But after June or so in 2017, there was a pin put in at Perth. And then it's sat there ever since. So I guess you could say the jaded amongst us might go, oh yeah, Tesla's putting a pin at Williams, they're putting one here and there and everywhere, and we've seen it all before. But then to be fair to Tesla now, everything is changing. So yeah, they really, they should get us excited and tease us and say, yeah, it's coming, rather than it sort of appearing.
There's a pin at Treendale for ChargeFox's 2 350 kilowatt chargers there.
Yes, and that's not just a
Coming
pin,
soon.
That's well, they're not just coming soon. They've actually been installed, and they're going to be commissioned soon, like within days, if not.
Yeah, the picture's got them in there.
Yeah.
A Kona charged there today.
Did it catch fire?
Oh well,
See.
there you go. Are you being cheeky there, Richard?
I wouldn't dream of it.
Right, so there you go. It's so I'll take that as is that mean it's commissioned, Rob? It must be if it's working.
Sounds like it, yeah. Tim, you met Tim last week.
Yep.
He tested it out today.
Yeah, cool. Well, that's obviously it'd be good to see. It'd be interesting to see any long range Model 3s, see what sort of peak charging rate they can get, because it ought to be a fair bit faster than the supercharger. And for those of you,
250 is the maximum
Yeah, we're going through to Bridgetown.
charge rate for the Model 3.
yeah, but Pete, the problem is the 500 amp limit for CCS2. So that's less than what the supercharger can deliver. So I think it's going to be a 200 kilowatts is the max that Trendale unit can do. But that's still, that's lightning fast.
You notice they're yellow now?
So again, Ken?
Have you noticed they're yellow now?
What's that?
The Trendale chargers, they got a skin.
Oh. Oh.
So they're very RAC now.
Wow, that's different to the picture they had before. They've changed.
This was the day before.
Yeah, they're like bananas.
Photo from today.
Actually, they're like Pokemon, like Pikachu.
Got their yellow pajamas on.
And there's a test charge Kona.
Right.
But it's still, PlugShare haven't turned it on yet, but I don't know if ChargeFox have got it in their list yet, but I should fire up the app and see. But
so that's really interesting that the original white image had an RAC logo, and yet that's very interesting.
They've reskinned them. That took me by surprise as well.
Wow. Cool. Well, the challenge is to get any Model 3, long-range Model 3 owners or performance owners to give it a suss.
You know Joseph's going to be there tomorrow morning, don't you? You know he's beat everyone to it.
No, Pete, no, you're way off the mark. He's probably already there right now.
Probably parked in front of it, waiting. ChargeFox is still showing it as a spanner.
Oh, that'll upset Joseph. Right.
So you can't actually start a charge yet.
Ah, okay. So it's not commissioned then, would be the answer to your question.
Yeah. But
it's funny. Yeah, no, anyway, I'll just keep my mouth shut. Yes, that makes a lot of sense now. Makes a lot of sense. Cool. Well, that's the first of two. So the next one's going into Wellington Street, the RAC headquarters.
That's going to be a 350 kilowatt again?
Yes, indeed, yes. The same setup.
Yeah, a pair of 350s at Wellington Street.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
Which would be awesome.
It's back.
So have they solved the issues with Western Power then?
For the location?
Yes, at RAC in Wellington Street, because apparently that's what was holding the project back.
Yeah, I think there's some safety issues or some. Oh no, that's right. The issue is, no. The actual issue is to do with they've got to isolate power off the building to do the upgrade of power, and I think the issue is the RAC have got their main servers and computer gear there, so they've got to make sure that they can turn the power off gently and not affect anything. So they've got to make sure, all their UPSs are working okay and all that sort of stuff, because it'd have to be a planned outage to upgrade the power. or whether it's upgrade or, you know, fit extra capacity or whatever it is. Yes.
I quite like that RAC headquarters because I can park there and charge, and it costs me less than the car park at Watertown where I go shopping.
Brilliant.
I thought I was the only Scotsman here.
Oh, no, laddie.
I worked that one out. You go park and you put it on the Type 2 so it charges nice.
Yes, that's what I do, Type 2. Yeah. And even if I'm going to be an hour or more and I go, no, I'll turn the amperage down a bit.
Don't say that.
Nigel, that's bloody antisocial. No one would do that.
All three people that regularly watch these videos will go tisk tisk to you.
Yeah, well.
Oh dear. Let's hope no one tweets it out and it becomes a viral video.
You know, on the contrary, instead of contributing money to the car parking people, I am contributing money to electric charging infrastructure in Western Australia. That's what I'm doing.
And the RAC.
Yeah.
And you're consuming solar power from their roof.
Yeah, exactly. That was one of ours when I was still at Infinite.
Oh, cool. Cool.
Okay, I've got to call it a night. So we're definitely a starter for Kalbarri if that happens.
Oh, awesome. All righty. Well, it looks like we've got two. Well, we got in this room, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 6 takers, 6 out of 7. Oof. What am I bid? We got 7 out of 10. That's spectacular.
If I'm on my feet by then.
Oh, you'll be right. Don't you worry about that. Don't forget, driving Teslas are really relaxing. So you can just sit down the whole way, and like the rest of us.
If Treendale's up and running on Friday morning, we'll go in there and check it out on the way through. We're going to Bridgetown.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Any intelligence we can get would be great.
All right.
It'd be very interesting to see what speed your 3 gets off it.
Yeah, it's just the SR Plus, but we'll see. All right.
The beats should be the same.
Awesome.
Will I get better there than on the supercharger?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, well,
wouldn't it be a good idea to navigate to the supercharger so it will be preconditioned?
Yes. What? That's very good thinking, Nigel.
Oh, sorry.
Very good thinking.
Our Tesla user right there, you know, tell it you're going to the supercharger and then trick it by going to a better charger.
Yes.
And wouldn't it be lovely if Tesla then on your first chart, well, apart from the fact that it ought to know there's a very fast charger there anyway, and you could navigate to it and have that work, wouldn't it be lovely if the first time you used it and it detected it as being a fast charger, that it could then navigate and do its magic of warming itself up?
And I often thought that should be the case.
Elon. Go, Pete.
Oh, I was just going to say include it on the map, but you know, then it could be, you know, it might not necessarily be a public charger. So how would it know? But you know, probably not too many 350 kilowatt private chargers around. But
or why not let us integrate PlugShare or something similar?
Absolutely.
My idea was to say navigate to an address and then have a button and said precondition.
Yes.
On the screen, just precondition for my arrival at that spot. Then it wouldn't really matter. They wouldn't have to have PlugShare. You know, a new one could go in. It might take them 3 months to get it onto the list. But if we can just go, I want the battery preconditioned on arrival.
Yeah,
makes life easy.
That is
there you go. Harold, send Elon a message.
Dear Elon, mate.
Either that or just do a solid 200 kilometers an hour as you're approaching it. and the battery will get plenty warm. But I didn't say that on a live stream that we're going to publish somewhere either, because that would be irresponsible.
That's what you did a little asterisk that says, warning, the advice given in this program is informational only and should not be taken as professional advice. Precondition.
Yeah, Nigel, it would be. Tesla did some hand waving to supporting third-party chargers, and I thought that was what that was about. And so it may be that the current software can do that. as Harold suggests, that it will remember that you fast charged at that location and therefore, do it again. But how you would tell it that you were going there, I don't know. But I have to do some more digging on that. This is the first time we've had a charger that does more than 150 kilowatts in the state, so lots to discover.
Yes, yes, which none of us S and X owners will know about, but the Model 3 guys, you're all over it, especially your performance and long LR people.
Do the performance and long range can charge quicker than the SR Plus?
Yes.
Bigger battery, higher voltage battery, so therefore by physics,
yeah, right,
you can get more stuff into it.
If I go and stick mine on that 350, what would I expect with an SR Plus? What would it top out at?
The experiment, Nigel, we don't know.
I'd be guessing it would sneak up towards a couple of hundred.
At about 20%.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, when that's commissioned, I might drive down there and aim to be there at about 20% and trick it to say I'm going to the Tesla supercharger and precondition and see what I get.
Yep, and take a whole bunch of pictures and stick them on PlugShare.
Cool.
And then all the non-Tesla owners will moan that we shouldn't be using their charger because we've got our own, but that's inevitable. Unfortunately,
stuff them. They should have bought Tesla.
That's right, all 12 of them. Actually, no, one less after the EQC got written off. So
that was something I'll go. You can describe that bit, Ken.
I thought that was that. My understanding.
You tell that story, and I'll tell the follow-up one. The call-in bit.
Yeah, they sold 2 EQCs in Western Australia, and unfortunately, at an odometer reading of 600 odd kilometers, it got written off. Not the fault of the driver. It got T-boned in the rear quarter, and the rear subframe got bent, written off. So
while on a demo drive with a prospective customer?
After they purchased it. So it was a purchase. It was literally weeks old, and it got biffed. Poor thing.
That's a shame.
So giving Merck their due, they've managed to find her another one. So
well done.
Over from the East Coast to replace it. So
the driver was obviously all right.
Yes. Yeah. So when I was at Coolin at my Airbnb, when I got there, there was a Navara whatever thing in the driveway, and it was the gardener mowing the lawn. And we're talking about the car and this and that, electric car, blah, blah. And he goes, oh, yeah, my aunt had an EQC. And I went, no, has an EQC. And I said, oh, that must be the one that survived because there were 2 in WA and one got written off. And he goes, no, that's the one that got written off. She got T-boned. And Mercedes had just 1 or 2 days earlier given her a replacement. So it's a small world that, in Coolin, a gardener's aunt is the lady that had an EQC that got written off.
Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was quite cool. So yeah, he was sort of a bit disinterested in the Tesla. I guess he liked the Merc instead, but it's all good.
Well,
What's the range on that EQC?
Not enough. I don't know. That's being a bit rude, but do any cars other than Tesla have adequate range?
Oh, Lucid when it comes out.
Doesn't the Kona Electric?
Tesla have adequate range?
Yeah,
517 miles.
Well, just about all the current Korean crop have quite good range.
The Kona Electric's 400 plus.
Great range. The Kia that we don't have in Australia has great range. The 2 Kia.
Neo. Which one? Sorry, Ken. The last one.
There's 2 Kias that we don't have in Australia that both have quite good range. So the Koreans are doing pretty well, and but sadly, most of the Europeans are not doing a great job. Although the ID3 looks awesome, but Volkswagen Australia have officially announced that we're not getting it. So
you're joking.
What about the ID4?
Well, by supposition, I'm guessing we're not getting that either. But yeah,
They have no ID, do they? They just have.
Well, but I mean, America's not getting the ID3. Yeah, America's not getting the ID3, but they're getting the ID4.
Right. Okay.
That's been announced.
That was a serious question. Look, I don't know, but it's certainly been confirmed that the ID3 is not coming to Australia anytime soon, which is just blows my mind.
Yeah.
If we had emissions control, then they might be having to.
Economic levers, that's what we need.
Yes, unfortunately, Australia is at risk, already is, at risk of being a dumping ground for inefficient ICE cars and, being devoid of any interesting EVs, or at least more mainstream, more widely accessed EVs.
That's right. Whereas in the last quarter, 82% of the cars sold in Norway had a battery in them.
Wow. So that means so they're banning in 2025. Is that right? Any ICE cars, new ones?
Domestic sales, yeah, they're still allowing commercial, but not domestic.
So if they're already at 85% now, the total ban in 2025 will be a lay down misère. It's like.
Oh, that's 82% with a battery. So I think 62% are pure BEV off the top of my head. But that every quarter, that ratio of PHEVs goes down and down and down. So yeah, you're right. By the time 2025 rolls around, they won't need the regulation. It'll just be the case. And that's kind of the point. If you set a line in the sand, then people will arrive there.
Yes.
And those figures have just been skyrocketing, because the figures for the whole of 2019 were 66% of cars had a plug in Norway. And then first quarter of 2020 was 70%. Then, or was it the second quarter, the first half of 2020 was 69%. And now you're saying 82% in the last quarter. That's just mind-boggling.
And it's just because economic levers, really. And as Bob Llewellyn says, I mean, people wouldn't be buying them if they were rubbish. People are buying these cars as their daily drivers, and these are now repeat buyers. And the other really interesting thing in Norway that leads into is now there are now secondhand IMEVs on the market that uni students are buying as their first car. Because there's a healthy secondhand market as well. It's just fantastic.
And the thing is, without getting too political, but Norway is one of the biggest oil exporters in the world. So if they can see past the vested interests, surely a country like Australia can too.
Did I not see that Norway were trying to go ahead with drilling in the Arctic?
What's that?
There was I'm pretty sure I saw something recently about Norway trying to open up the Arctic for drilling.
So Norway's not squeaky clean. They do still do a lot of petrochemical. Yeah,
just complete. But then they do have $1 trillion wealth fund for their citizens.
Yeah, going back, I know several people that have now got a 2012, 13, 14 Nissan Leaf, and they've got 80-kilometer range, but it suits them down to the ground.
Yeah, look.
And there was one guy up there on Thursday, an old guy who got a Nissan Leaf, and he said, when I bought it, it had 160-kilometer range. Now it's lucky to do 80.
But that's well within the average mileage of a vehicle use,
Well, I mean, I had a PHEV, and that had got about a 40-kilometer battery range, and it was 19 Ks to work and 19 Ks back. Plug it in.
See, our Holden Volt, that had a 60 to about 80 kilometer range, depending on how you drive, or 50 to 90. But that hasn't really changed much in 4.5 years. I'm putting that down to the fact that battery is quite heavily governed at both ends. So maybe the Leaf battery, they've opened up more of the usable kilowatt hours of it.
Well, the Leaf, until they bring out the 62 kilowatt here, has got no thermal management whatsoever. But the new 62 kilowatt one has got thermal management, so it should last better.
Yeah.
And it's just literally appalling that they, after all they did to their Generation 1 Leaf owners, you know, used all their money and lack of and degradation to learn what happens to lithium-ion batteries. The way they then brought out the new Leaf, the 40-odd kilowatt-hour one with no thermal management, is just appalling. I mean, Bjorn Nyland has done several road trips in it. And I think Nextmove, one of the German big EV hire companies, have also done Autobahn tests and things like that, charging tests, and they had, you know, Rapid Gate or Charge Gate, whereby it would charge quite quickly on Chatamo. I think it was Chatamo on the first charge, but once the battery had heated up, then that was the end of fast charging, and it went down to like about 15 kilowatts on a fast DC charger on a road trip. You know, and that's in Europe with a mild climate. Yeah, it's not good, just quietly. But anyway, luckily our cars are absolutely thermally managed to within you know, well, you know, very tight parameters, and they're well looked after.
And they pop to let you know.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so at least there was an article, I think, a couple of days ago that is a family in Canberra that Grey imported a 62 kilowatt hour Leaf because they're not yet available in Australia, but under Australian parallel import laws, if there's a car that's
3 months.
Sorry, Pete?
3 months, I think, is the threshold.
Yeah. Which is pretty cool. So 3 months, and you can actually go and pull in a parallel imported car.
So if the manufacturer hasn't brought it into the local market within 3 months, then the grey market is okay. Yep.
Yeah, they did a series of videos on how they went about it.
Does that mean that we can? Oh dear, we can get a left-hand drive Cybertruck early?
And a Model Y, Harold.
Now
it's
you're
coming
talking,
up
Pete.
3 months, isn't it?
Because it's a lot easier to parallel park if you're on the left side of the car.
It's very easy to park a Cybertruck because you just don't care.
Was that speed bump? Oh, no, it was a Nissan Leaf.
Oh, speaking of which, with not caring about parking your Cybertruck, did you see that render of the Monster Cybertruck? That just looked ridiculous. But then again, I guess there aren't many monster trucks that aren't ridiculous.
I don't feel the need to compensate.
True. Speaking of such things, did you see the Blue Origin did a test flight for the first time in 10 months?
Yes, I did.
Which is a bit boring because all it does is it goes up and then it just falls back down again.
Well, that's why it's a Shepherd, because it's the same as a suborbital. Yes. But good on them. Look, you know, it's very easy to kind of go, you know, SpaceX are making everyone look a bit silly, but rocket science is hard, and good on them. And it was a good flight, and arguably significantly more successful than Boeing's last attempt on 1% of the budget.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So yeah, I don't want to give them a hard time. It was good. They stuck a capsule up there and they landed it again, and good on them.
Yeah, I think they're talking about doing microgravity experiments for that, you know, the several minutes that they're in microgravity.
Yeah.
And it's also good as a test bed, cheap test bed for avionics and other similar things. So it's, yeah, it's cool. And then the new Glenn, which will obviously be the first orbital.
Camera on an angle, you know, it wasn't rolling down the hill with the camera on an angle demonstrating.
Speaking of which, how is Rivian going? No, not Rivian. Yes, it is
Rivian. Rivian are going great. Is anyone watching Long Way Up?
Not yet, but I want to.
On Netflix, isn't it?
No, it's on Apple TV Plus.
Oh, Apple. Sorry.
Oh,
so if you want to be a cheapskate, wait for it to finish and then binge watch it, which will be soon. but it's been good. I've been enjoying it. And the Rivian's amazing. They basically got 2 prototype Rivians. They've literally still got gaffer tape with marker pen on some of the switches for kind of, and they're driving this thing from Patagonia in -20 degrees up to Los Angeles. And
isn't there something called BitTorrent you can watch it on?
Nigel, that I don't know what you're talking about.
Here's the tip is after this morning, go buy yourself an iPhone 12, and you get 12 months free when you upgrade your phone.
But all us sheeples know you can't reserve it until the 16th, which is that Friday? And well, it's like these things are a little bit like our cars. Our next best one, our best phone is the next one.
Well, you know this one, the battery's going to go rubbish now. That's the accuracy about Apple. Now that there's a 12, this one will start being rubbish. But I probably will, because I'm a sucker.
But it's a good point that Ken makes. If you do get an iDevice, well, an iPhone, you do get 12 months of their Apple TV Plus thing. So
buy a new iPhone, and then you can watch a show about Rivians and Harley Davidson Livewires. I want to see CR.
Did you guys see the postal truck that's got all like the Rivian platform and switchgear and steering wheel and do you guys see that at all today?
Yeah, is that the Amazon one or the
Amazon one? Yeah, and it's just, I mean, that gives me such a massive boost of confidence for Rivian itself, because if they're already using all of those common parts, that's how you make it.
Yeah, no, that was a great joint venture. So yeah, they've got some massive contract to deliver Amazon delivery vehicles based on the Rivian sled. So that's brilliant.
100,000, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, all up. Yeah.
Amazing.
Over 10 years, I think it is.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Yes, so plenty of other EVs out there, just not in Australia.
Mm.
But yeah, when was the Elon tweet saying he's confirming that we can have it as long as we can get it through regs? That was a couple of days ago. Didn't he tweet that?
Last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was replying to Nash, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. The just tell us, are we going to get it or not? And he's going, yes, sure, you can have it. I'm going, yes, $150, not down the toilet.
It's
as opposed to the money. Oh no, I'm not going to say that out loud about my full self-driving, but that would sound bitter and twisted and moany.
We have a Model S in the family that may never get the full self-driving that was paid for it after 4 years before it's sold.
We're not going to have this conversation. We're awesome and happy early adopters. We love our product.
But early adopter or not, one thing that I don't think it's right is if you've paid for, it's a bit like buying a song on iTunes and then getting a new iPhone and having to buy the song again. So, if you've paid for full self-driving, I think it should be transferable to your new car, especially if the full self-driving wasn't delivered. Or you should at least get a considerable discount off FSD on the next car.
Yes.
And not only to recognise your loyalty, but also to keep you in the ecosystem. Not going anywhere, I know, but for other people to help keep them in the ecosystem.
And even if it's limited to like a generation, so anyone that got a car that had AP2.X, like AP 2.0 or AP 2.5, none of those cars have seen full self-driving in Australia yet.
Yeah.
So they will get upgraded for free to hardware 3. But if you had a car that you sold that never had that, they then should say, well, you can now buy a hardware 3 car. So if you buy a hardware 3 car, you should just roll over your full self-driving, or at least a massive percentage of it, like, maybe charge you 20% or even 25% to get it. But you know, in 3 years' time, if they bring out hardware 4, well, then fair enough. Once you've had that car, you then, if you sell it, you then pay again, because you can understand that a perpetual license.
I would be okay if you sell your car and transfer your full self-driving to your new car, then you shouldn't be able to also sell your initial car with full self-driving. So they should be, you know, they should be able to just transfer the full self-driving from your old car to the new car.
Isn't it the only way at the moment is the full self-driving is linked to the car?
Yeah.
And so when you sell the car, the full self-driving goes with it.
Yes. And I guess there are some people that will argue that your second-hand car will be worth less if the full self-driving has been removed from it. But then, I mean, any economist, you know, you can get 2 economists and get 3 opinions. It's, you know, it's debatable. I guess if your car didn't have full self-driving and it was second-hand, Tesla don't give a discount for full self-driving on a second-hand car, so you got to still cough up to $10,000.
And if you transfer it to your new car, you're going to save that 10,000. So, all right,
yeah,
you got 5 off the car for second-hand.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I think if Tesla were customer-focused and appreciative of their loyal early adopters, they would probably do a big discount to roll over the full self-driving. Because I mean, if you listen to, like, say, is it Mel Herbert from the Talking Tesla guys?
I love him.
He's leased and rolled over several cars. It's about 2 or 3 with full self-driving that he's never received.
I just wanted to keep doing it just to get more and more annoyed.
Yeah, it's a running joke. It's yeah, you know.
See, one of the he's Australian. Yeah, no, I was just going to say one of the negatives, I suppose, is how it impacts the depreciation figures. So that may be, you know, playing into their thinking perhaps, but that's fine. Then what they should say is, okay, it has to stay with your car when you sell it, but then we'll give you a discount. You know, and even if it's a 30% discount or a 50% discount on your second one. And there's also a situation, what if, you know, through no fault of your own, someone drives into you and the car's totaled?
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, and then you get a new car. Do you have to then, you know, you basically have to then go and buy full self-driving again?
And the interesting thing on that is that because it's a software switch, it's ethereal, like
exactly.
It can't be destroyed by definition. When your car is totaled, that software switch wasn't destroyed. Yeah. You know,
and there's no marginal cost to Tesla to do so.
No,
there's zero marginal cost. Yeah.
So there are clearly some parts of what Tesla do that could be improved. And like I said, because of this case, like I said, with the Model S that we've got in the family, it's plausible that it'll be sold after 4 years, and no one can say that 4 years is a short time of ownership. That's sort of quite standard for many cars.
Yep.
That in a reasonable period of ownership, it will never have it won't have received its hardware 3 computer. So by definition, it can't do full self-driving when it was sold.
Yeah.
And yet thousands upon thousands of dollars were spent getting it. So, yeah.
What did you pay, Harold, if you don't mind me asking? Was it the 14,000 or something that it was at the very beginning?
No, you see, back in the olden days when dinosaurs roamed and there was no oil because it was just moss that was rotting or whatever it was, algae. They used to buy what was called enhanced autopilot.
Oh, that's
so
right.
I think that cost eight or do you know how much it cost, Ken? It was 8 or 9 grand for
right now on my other computer I'm looking for my invoice, but it was more, it was 5 figures.
But there was 3 stages, wasn't there? It was autopilot, enhanced autopilot, and full self-driving.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
And then they got rid of one, wasn't it?
And then autopilot became free.
Yes.
No. Yes. And then I think that you could get enhanced autopilot still at a different cost. It might have been higher because enhanced autopilot was like a stepping stone. So you got the basic for, say, let's call it 8,000, enhanced autopilot for another 1,500, say. But when autopilot became free or included, then I think enhanced autopilot cost more than it used to, because it was like that's like you started out with nothing, then you had autopilot, then you had enhanced autopilot. When they gave you that nothing was for free, then everything sort of went down, and they sort of like stretched it. So enhanced autopilot might have cost 3 or something like that. I think when we bought it, when Ken and I bought it in FSD, we got it when Tesla had it on a special. Was that two in the twos, Ken, or 4?
Are we talking full self-drive?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I probably got that invoice too, but EAP cost me $7,500.
Right. Yes. Yep. Back in 2017.
Making
So
my
it's old
sad.
money.
It's making me sad looking at my invoice.
And if you talk about time, well, if you talk about time use of money, when we got what was called autopilot or enhanced autopilot, we didn't even have cruise control. There was nothing. The car could do nothing when we received it, because they had just transitioned out of Mobileye into the NVIDIA solution. So we barely had we ended up getting basic cruise control, which is no radar, just fixed speed cruise control, which
Not
would
even adaptive.
Not adaptive, so it would happily just plow into the car in front at a controlled speed.
Which is what Rob and Robin have right now.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, because Robin, they can't. Rob, if you can hear us, you guys can't change. You don't have your 1 to 7 following distance, have you?
Yes. No, we have that, but we get
you
a
do?
warning. So if we approach a car too fast, we get the warning. We just have to manually hit the brake pedal.
Gotcha. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so when we
isn't it, Rob? Didn't you say it's the only non-autopilot car to have gone around Australia, or there's some?
Yeah, just a bit. Tesla, yeah.
Yeah, non-autopilot Tesla. Yes. Yeah.
Even though you've got the hardware, same as mine.
Yeah. We've used it. We've used it when there was a free trial.
Oh yes, you did, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And you know, I could see at that stage that, you know, autopilot and full self-driving will be a fantastic thing, but you know, I just want to enjoy driving for a few more years.
No, sorry, did I say that?
I must admit, I certainly didn't have autopilot going around the racetrack on Thursday.
Oh,
no, that was fun, wasn't it?
I said I wasn't going to take anyone round, and then I spent half the day taking people round.
So how many? So you're getting a new set of tires soon? Is that?
Yeah. But my goodness, I tell you what, you forget. I'm going to annoy you now, Nigel, and say that I thought that my car handled better than your 3 going around that track.
Actually, you took my 3 around one of those 90-degree turns at about 68. I took your S around doing 75, 76. So yeah, I have to agree.
Yeah, there's a lot of rubber on those 21s that is now left on that racetrack.
I did not leave it. It wasn't me.
I did actually, just by chance, I never, just how things played out, never intended to. I test drove the Audi. Yeah, it was the Audi.
e-tron. Yeah, the turd.
e-tron.
E-tron.
Yeah,
E-tron,
yeah,
sorry.
turd, yeah. I was trying to be polite about it, but it handled like a big SUV. And then there was a British couple that were there from Yorkshire, and and they wanted to go out in that, and I just happened to jump in with them, and then we all took a turn in test driving it. But then I took them out in my car, and yeah, you could just see the difference. But I mean, you don't buy something like that to go on a racetrack. You buy it because you want an SUV.
Richard, the couple from Yorkshire were the parents of the son who was the car salesman for Audi.
No, BMW was it? Sorry, the
BMW.
Mini.
That's right. Yeah.
The Mini. Yeah. Yeah, of course they were. I'd forgotten that. Yeah. Yeah, great couple. But one thing it took me a bit to get used to was that no wing mirrors in the e-tron.
Yeah. You know what I found?
Just
I found it excellent. I thought that the resolution was fantastic, but only while driving forward. When I had to perpendicular park, that was, I presume it would just be a matter of time. You would have to get used to it, but I really struggled.
Okay.
I really struggled with that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
They're also in the wrong spot. You know, with my hands on the steering wheel, it is right in the way of the stupid location for the camera.
They're too low, aren't they?
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, it's not where you're used to looking, is it?
They need to be in the A pillar.
Why don't they do that, like, have that little triangle that, old cars used to have the old Holdens used to have the vent.
The quarter pane.
Quarter windows.
Yes.
That was the standard ventilation on my Ford Anglia.
Yeah.
I had a Ford Anglia as well.
High five.
Do you mean?
And after a few years,
Do you mean down there?
Yeah.
You mean down there?
Yeah, that's
yes. Yeah.
Tiny little quarter panes.
I was going to say, with the Anglia, didn't you get additional ventilation as it started rusting out? You get.
No,
you were Land Cruisers at the moment.
You're thinking of the Vauxhall, not the Ford. The Fords are awesome, but it did, however, ventilate through the gear stick boot quite regularly. Lovely. But,
and that would be like oil vapors and stuff, wouldn't it? It'd be various engine smells.
Yeah. I loved my Ford Anglia. That was my first project car. I had a GT engine in it with Webers, and it was fantastic. Now I just want to get another one and electrify it. I wish I'd never sold my last one. It was so sweet.
Right.
Would have been a perfect electric conversion. That would have been hilarious. A Ford Anglia that leaves V8 Holdens for dead would have been.
That would be good.
Quite good fun.
Well, is it EV West? They do the Model S. Well, they do the Tesla conversion.
There's a guy in Queensland did a Mark I Cortina. It's a thing of beauty. I want to go over and see it once I can.
You can go now, Ken. You just can't come back.
Well, I was thinking about going for the netball grand final, but no.
No. Although obviously last week we heard from Peter Ship that said that they came back. They were the contra example of being able to go to Queensland and actually made it back. Cool.
And on that note, gentlemen, it's 9:30, so it's pumpkin time for me.
I did have one other.
No worries, Ken. Thanks for holding the fort while I was away. Apologies and all that. Yeah, go on, Richard.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I did have, that you guys, it's not appropriate for me, but that you guys with three-phase supplies don't want to get power walls until you get a three-phase power wall. Well, I've kind of come across a solution to that with a traditional power wall. So this guy at Joondalup Electrical Services, who just does solar installs, he's just
Jason.
done.
Jason Taylor.
Oh, so do you know him then?
I know, but I had a chat with him. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I've had a few chats with him, but so he's just done. So the husband and wife team that own Dolphin Scuba in Welshpool, which is my dive shop that I've been going to for years, they've just got him to install Powerwall into their place, and they've got three-phase. but it's a single. They've got 3-phase, but it's a single-phase Powerwall. But what he's done is 2.5 kilowatt inverters, and then one connected to the Powerwall, and then one on I guess L2.
Yeah,
So,
but that's single phase.
but what that means, yeah, 2 single-phase inverters, which
That's
means
fine.
that they get the backup power if the power goes out, but then it's not getting the phases out. So I just wondered whether you guys had ever thought about doing that, or what the issue was with doing that.
Yeah, see, yeah, that's right. So you can, if you have a single phase solar inverter, but see, the thing is, on a 3-phase house, it'd be rare to have a single phase inverter, except for perhaps one of the really small ones and old expensive ones. That maybe that was there was a logical reason for that. But most
there are a few installations, like you said. I missed some of what you said, Richard. But yeah, there are installations on 3-phase where you have 2.5 kilowatts on 2 of the phases and nothing on the third. It still meets. So Western Power have got a balancing rule which says that you can't have more than a 3.5 kilowatt imbalance. Sorry, a 2.5 kilowatt imbalance between the phases.
Wow.
So you can't have.
Okay, that ticks that box then, yeah.
Yeah, so you can't have a 3 kilowatt on one phase and nothing, and a 2 kilowatt on the second phase, because then the difference between the first and the third phase would be more than 2.5. So you can have 2.5s, and that's a fairly so Solar Edge. That's a fairly common setup with Solar Edge inverters. So you have 2.5 kilowatt single phases on a 3-phase connection. And especially if there's batteries involved as well. Yeah.
So then
DC coupled batteries.
I just wondered for you guys with 3-phase that then gets you a single phase Powerwall, and I just wondered why you guys didn't want to do that.
Because most of the time we've already got the 3-phase inverter for solar, so we're
right.
You'd have to then
You're not going from zero.
You'd have to sort of go backwards and unscramble that egg to try and patch it up just to get one Powerwall, which can't do proper house backup and all that sort of stuff.
Of all of the 3 phases, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm actually on 3-phase, but I've got a single phase 5 kilowatt. But that's because I've got a 3-phase connection to the house and to the old shed, but the new shed that I built basically just to put the solar system up on to get the roof space, because it was not much more expensive than a ground mount. So yeah, I only ran a single phase because it was about 80 meters away. So I only ran a single phase. So I've got a single phase inverter on that. But the reason why I'm not doing it yet is because of the 47 cents. So but that will run out next year.
Of course, yeah.
Or soon, in a few months.
Okay, interesting.
But at the moment, WA or Western Power still have certain rules that don't acknowledge that a Powerwall can act as it's not just a classic inverter. It's highly controlled, so it can do zero net export and all that sort of stuff. But they're just simply presuming it's like an uncontrolled generator, just like the solar inverters. So their rules are written in such a way that it just captures single phase Powerwalls unfavorably.
Well, when the rules first came into effect, a lot of the solar companies, ours included, we bought Powerwalls and couldn't put them in because Western Power
said no.
Still considered, because they have a 5 kilowatt inverter in them.
Yeah,
if you've got a 0.1 kilowatt inverter, you'd lose your your feed-in tariff or your buyback rate or whatever you want to call it.
On that note, there was some positivity in South Australia, which was interesting, where they've introduced new legislation that requires that, I don't know if it's AEMO or the main generator or grid controller in South Australia, to be able to turn your solar inverter into a net zero exporting inverter during times of overproduction, which is actually a very positive thing. What it means is that if your house has got a fair bit of load, it guarantees that your solar will continue to support that load.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
it's simply restricted. It's throttled down to stop exporting to the grid.
Even if you don't have a battery.
Yes. Whereas in California, what they do is their rule, which all our inverters have that ability, is that their rule is as the frequency is allowed to increase, they universally throttle back. Even if your house is actually using all of that load or even more than that load, your inverters will basically be commanded to throttle back unilaterally. So I think the South Australian example is a good one because it sort of leads the way for WA to handle this potential, catastrophic surplus of solar that may occur on mild days. All they need to do is look to South Australia and repeat that example of just configure the inverters or tell them to go zero net export, but still feed the requirements of the house that they're attached to, which is a really positive thing. It's very forward thinking and much better than the Californian example.
What would be even more forward thinking is to put a battery in. The 100 megawatts is good, but it's 2 years away. And to have a whole heap of EVs ready and able to suck some of that, you put in a price signal in the market and all of us will be charging at midday,
And that price signal can also encompass workplaces where they may actually, you could almost get the potential where they could almost be paid to suck up load and dump it into EVs. So your employees rock up to work, plug in at 8 a.m. or 8:30. Nothing happens until 11:30 a.m. until 1 p.m. when they start charging. And when a cloud bank comes over, they all just stop because the EVs don't care. And then when the cloud bank goes back away, goes away again, and the sun comes out, they start charging again until 1, 2, 3 in the afternoon, and then they all back off again. And, for employers or shopping centres, they could potentially at times either get it for free or get paid for it or break even or whatever.
And if you had AutoBidder installed on your Tesla, you'd be able to do frequency control and, all sorts of other fancy stuff.
Have any of you heard of Amber, which is over east?
Yes.
They're an electricity supply company. I emailed them once to say, are you going to be in WA? And they go, no. And I got another email today to say, you were on our waiting list. Your name has now reached the top of the list. Would you like to sign up with us? And I replied, yeah, okay. When are you going to be in WA? Because that's where I am. But they do wholesale things.
They give you they give residential customers access to the wholesale balancing price.
And they change the price every, I don't know, minute, 30 minutes, whatever it is. And you've got an app that will tell you, so you can use the cheap electricity when there's an excess of it, like between, morning type of thing when the sun's up.
Which is ideal for a battery storage, because then you would suck it up when it was really cheap, or possibly even
get paid for
it to take it, but then make sure that when the closing price becomes, $20,000 a megawatt hour, whatever that is, then yes, that's right, sell into it. Well, AutoBidder is coming to Germany, I think. For power walls and maybe even for cars. Although I think for cars, it's more of you're taking it as a load, and obviously for the power walls, you're then offering it back as a source. Because I think Elon Musk alluded to that at Battery Day, but it was also mentioned prior to that.
But when he mentioned, so my understanding was that he said, yes, you know, the only time we'd consider allowing the car to do vehicle to grid was for, you know, auto bidder use. So my understanding was that the car would be able to go both ways, but not
yet. Yeah.
Yeah. Not yet, but yeah, in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think I thought that they're exploring using Powerwalls with auto bidder in Europe because they've got the license. They've got a generator license or whatever it's called.
That's in England, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it might be in Europe as well, but that might have been under the radar. I'm not entirely certain because I'm aware that Tesla were canvassing German owners to see what their level of interest was in participating in the energy market. But whether that's with a view to giving them cars, well, you know, providing versions of cars that have bidirectional energy flow, or maybe it was with their Powerwalls. Because I mean, of course, you could always, you know, in auto bidder, if the price is really cheap, you could then selectively charge your car on a cheap price on that deal, and also charge your Powerwall. And then during those peak times when it was very expensive, you could then generate, even if it's just out of the Powerwall, is still okay. You know, it's still 14 kilowatt hours that a Powerwall's got.
Yep.
But yeah, it's interesting. You know, at least well, Elon conceded. No, sorry, who was the other guy on Battery Day? The director of anyway, the engineer guy.
Yep.
Did say quite clearly that bidirectional energy flow will be coming to future models. So at least they didn't discount that as no, we're just not going to do that because we're in fear of the lifetime of our batteries, which is still an issue, but presumably a lesser issue.
And with the new 4680 batteries, they'll last longer.
Yes, and I guess the thing is with auto bidder, if you're just creaming that frequency stability market, it can be quite lucrative. So, you know,
Hornsdale was earning something like $1 million a day.
And that cost them, wasn't the first version of Hornsdale, the original setup, wasn't that 30 million?
50, I think, 50 million.
Or 50? And if you're making so Pete, you're saying $1 million a day.
$1 million a day.
It broke even after a year.
Month.
Was it a month? No, I think that it broke even and then they extended it.
Well, I thought initially one issue they had was AEMO, their minimum service fee time was 6 seconds, because up until you had solid state, well, up until you had batteries and inverters, there was no peaker plant or anything, even spinning reserve, that could react faster than 6 seconds. So the
fastest generator we've got in the WEM in WA is the Nugen gas-fired power station in Kwinana.
Yep.
And that can only reach power reserve, spinning reserve in 5 minutes.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Apart from batteries.
Yeah. So I think that so the minimum was six seconds. Then there was 60 seconds, and then maybe 6 minutes, or it was almost sixes, or So Hornsdale, a lot of the service it provided was being unpaid for by AEMO. But I think now they've changed those regulations or tariffs, and now Hornsdale is actually getting what it deserves, and it's just creaming the market because nothing else can compete on time and on cost. And whether it's 30 million or 50 million, if it's making upwards of $1 million a day on certain days, well, it's just, so Synergy really ought to compress that 2-year time frame to more like Elon-esque or South Australian-esque time, which is tweet out Elon, say that you can't.
100 days or it's free.
Yeah, but you can't do it in 3 or 4 months, and he'll go, I'll take that bet. And these days it'll be easier because they'll just ship them in sea containers in their mega packs. So the installation is actually simpler than it was at Hornsdale. But I guess time will tell.
So I'm just trying to look up the numbers. So apparently so Hornsdale, so this is the first version of it, took up 55% of the market share of the state's frequency and ancillary services market. Just one battery. And lowered the prices in that market by 90%.
So the old gas-fired plants would have just been murdered. Just don't bother turning on.
Stranded assets.
Don't tell ScoMo.
Yeah, it's just not fair, isn't it? It's just not fair. And obviously the Kwinana, the old Kwinana power station site could probably host a battery bigger than Hornsdale. Oh, actually, it's going to be close. What, Pete? Do you know what the
100 megawatt hours?
I think it was 150. Was it 150 megawatt hours? So this one's 200 megawatt hours.
I thought it was 100. Oh,
Hornsdale got increased. So I thought it was
190 megawatt hours it got increased to, didn't it? Or am I just putting that out of the air?
So it was 100 megawatt battery. I'm not sure how many megawatt hours now. So same size. Yeah.
Hornsdale.
Yes.
Yeah, Hornsdale was. Yeah, it was. I think it was 100 megawatts and 129 megawatt hours.
Yeah,
Right.
that's it.
Okay.
I think so, but it has been extended, and I think Richard, you might be right. It was on the order of.
I think it was
approaching
190 megawatt hours it got increased to.
Well, if that's the case, then our one will be the biggest because the Synergy one is 100 megawatts and 200 megawatt hours.
Oh, right. Oh, cool. Okay.
Because initially in the press release, it only mentioned 100 megawatts, but when you looked at the tender document, it stated the 100/200.
Ah, right.
So,
Yeah, right.
Just found some numbers on the economics. So various estimates have put the cost savings to consumers in South Australia from the FCAS market alone at around 35 million just in the first 4 months of its operation. That's pretty good bang for the buck for the estimated $50 million investment by South Australia. So no, it wasn't a month, but it wasn't a year either, Nigel. So it would have been, so what do we say? 35 million on 50 million in the first 4 months. So,
and that's the community, that's the public benefit, let alone the money that Eoin made playing the market. So you've got the double bottom line or triple bottom line. So the community benefited from the wholesale price, well, from their retail prices going down, or that penalty going down. And Eoin, who has the wind farm, they made money hand over fist. So like everyone's winning. The only people losing.
Everyone except the stranded gas.
Who now have stranded assets. Yeah. And that's something funny because in accounting there's an argument. You know how you depreciate your assets. So you have a depreciation schedule, and the theory is that in a sense your assets are consumed over time, so they need to be replaced. So you basically you deduct, you pay $100 and you deduct $5 each, whatever.
Yeah.
But there's another theory that you shouldn't actually apply depreciation to your current assets. You should be trying to account for their replacement cost, which can be higher. Because it might cost you more in the future to replace that asset once it's consumed. But I guess if you've got a stranded asset, in a sense, you might as well just write it off altogether. Like it's pointless, or it doesn't really matter. Because like Synergy, they're saying that Synergy is losing money hand over fist, but they're not really. Their operational income is positive. Their cash flow is positive. It's just that they're saying, well, Muja's worth, I don't know, $1 billion or whatever it is. and then they may have to write it off completely. So therefore they lose $1 billion. But like Pete says, it's a stranded asset, and it's also a sunk cost. So that money is already spent, it's irrelevant. And you don't need to buy another Muja. All you need to do is buy what would it be, maybe a Tesla's new pack. I mean, Tesla did Hornsdale that cost price or below cost. So if we call it 50 million for, 100 odd megawatt hours, it might cost like 100 million for 200 megawatt hours. Don't know, maybe a bit more, or maybe 60, 70, something like that. And all Synergy has to do is buy 5 times that, and they can suck up all the solar that they get free from all the businesses and all the houses that aren't getting the what's it called now, the DEBs.
Yep. Distributed Energy Buyback Scheme.
And the other one is what's the one before that?
Renewable and REBS, Renewable Energy Buyback Scheme.
Yeah. So, because there are many businesses and houses that have got more than the allocated generation capacity that are giving Synergy free electricity, literally at zero cost.
Yep.
And all they need to do is absorb it and flog it back later.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool. So any other news or anything before we go? It's getting a bit on.
I was just about to say goodbye because it's 10 o'clock. So time for Betty Buys. Us oldies. So we have to.
Cool. Yeah, that's probably a good time to call it a night. Thanks for coming, everyone. Like I said before, sorry I was late, but I had a prior engagement.
Oh, Ken did good.
Awesome. Excellent. Well, that's good. Good to know. Everyone take care, look after yourselves, and we'll
see you next
week.
Check out the share price. It's up at $455 again now.
Oh,
who's going to buy Starlink on the IPO? Yeah.
Yes, but it won't be IPO'd for a long time.
That's
for a few years.
So is it 455, Pete? Is that for
460?
What?
Yeah, up 2.8%. Yeah. Goldman Sachs up. So the guy from New Street, the French Pierre.
Oh yes, Pierre. Yes.
Perrigue.
He talked to Rob Mauer.
Yes. He's got the highest price target on the street now, 578, I think.
Yes.
But what's the name? Goldman Sachs today increased their target from 400 to 450. So they're all starting to adjust their price targets.
Yeah. One company has increased their price target from 60 to 75, I heard.
Oh, wow. You know what? That would probably be the biggest percentage change.
Yes.
True.
That'd be 25%.
You'd know that one, Pete. And the analyst said that he has simply applied a discounted cash flow to their projected 2021 earnings.
Yeah.
Which is
which means that you're completely ignoring any growth from 21 onwards.
So ignoring the fact that there's, Giga Berlin was not nearly finished, but there's a massive factory capable of putting out 500,000 cars. And
it was JP Morgan. JP Morgan.
That's it.
Yeah. I want to phone them up and say, I'll buy all your shares at 75. I'll give you 80.
Cool. Well.
Oh, well.
That was a good way that was almost like a nightcap, wasn't it?
That's why I thought I'd mention it. End on a good note.
Excellent. Well, in the old days, you had the old ticker. You just have it going near your head, sort of feeding in the information. Cool. That's awesome news. That's fantastic. All right. On that note, let's definitely call it a night. Thanks for coming, everyone. Look after yourselves, and we'll see you next week.
See you guys.
Cheers. See ya.
See you guys.